Welcome to the Crude Life Podcast, because sometimes when you're making money, life can just be crude. Hey folks, how you doing? My name is Jason Spees. I'm an award-winning multimedia journalist and talk show host. And on today's episode, I interview Blu Hulsey, Senior Vice President of Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs with Continental Resources. In this exclusive interview, we talk about the first ever sale of Bakken oil, specifically delivering overseas. Continental Resources has sold over 1 million barrels of crude oil for November delivery that's going to end up intended to go to exports to China. In just a moment, our exclusive interview with Blu Hulsey, Senior Vice President of Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs with Continental Resources. But first, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. They literally keep our lights on. Over the past few months, I've told you about how unbelievable hatch coaching is. Well, don't just take my word for it. Listen to what Greg Tavine of Emerging Prairies has to say about hatch coaching.
When I think of the world that I want to live in, it's with people that care, that take risks, that reinvent themselves, reinvent their organizations, reinvent their industries. And Eric's a model citizen for that. He's trying to solve problems. He's trying to bring people into those solutions. He does incredibly well, but he lives generously. I think a community filled with people like Eric that are solving problems, giving it their best, and creating an environment for others to lead and soar and succeed, that's the place I want to live. And so Eric's the type of person that's in my community, and I'm really grateful for that.
To find out more about hatch coaching or to have Eric Hatch speak at your event or company, visit hatchcoaching.com. That's hatchcoaching.com. Or call 701-212-1572. That's 701-212-1572. In 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
My name is Blu Hulsey, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Government and Regulatory Affairs for Continental Resources.
What sparked the interview was some news that came out recently about selling some crude oil out to China. Of course, some people got their heads turned right away on something like that, but this isn't so much new news as much as it is kind of a new thing for you guys in terms of this happened when they reversed the export ban, lifted the export ban a few years ago. So this has got to be exciting news for you guys with Continental Resources, taking advantage of something now after, 2 years since they've lifted that ban? Help me out with the timelines.
In 2015, it was December of 2015, Congress did lift the export ban. It was something that, and that's a date we remember because we worked really hard on that 2 years prior to that, and really trying to move that along. So that 2015 time frame was something that we worked really hard. We had just entered the downturn of that final year in 14, and so it was really at the end of 14. So it was really a tough situation where we were from a market perspective, and talking about the need to access additional markets and looking at the artificial difference between world price, Brent price, and WTI. And that was really something that allowed us to go to Capitol Hill and talk about the need for us to gain world market, and really talk about what disadvantage that was putting U.S. crude producers to world producers.
The one thing that actually I wrote down two things when I read that news story was the first one, what does this mean for workers? And then secondly, what does this mean for consumers? And I would think at the end of the day, they both have to be pretty good news.
You know, it is. I will tell you from a consumer standpoint, the ability for us to get having long-term contracts with not only with refiners here as well as refiners around the world, it puts American producers in the driver's seat of where we're going from an energy perspective. And that, again, I think that's really beneficial as we talk about long-term energy security, long-term energy dominance, as the Trump administration has talked before about what that means for jobs in our economy and obviously just energy to do economic activity in our country. I think that's a fantastic, as we continue to push that forward and continue to do new things from a development standpoint, finding those markets and ensuring that we have those buyers, and that we can, as Americans, enter into partnership to provide energy to other parts of the world and create allies through energy development is a key part, and a key part of geopolitical improvement in what our country is going to do. I think that will benefit both the consumers and the producers to find those markets and allow us to continue to develop our resources here at home.
And I look at it like, when you mentioned the downturn and their low prices, whatever the term is that we're calling it these days, but low oil prices were happening, and everybody had to tighten their belt straps a little bit, or expand or contrast, or kind of look for some new markets. And off air, I kind of told you about a new market that I had to get into, more into the capitalism side of things as opposed to the energy, just because we had to streamline and figure out what we had to deal with. I look at this as you guys went out and found a new market, and so the reason I wrote down workers, it would seem to me if you guys are finding more work or more buyers, it's going to keep people employed longer, because it's no secret that the energy industry it's like farming. It's a commodity price based industry, so I would think this would be good news for workers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things to look at between oil price and WTI price, and including in the North Dakota area, you had first of all, you had a discount for transportation, and then you're getting a discount of WTI price, which is what you price to Cushing versus Brent world price. That could be up to you could see a $10 or a $10 differential at $6 and maybe another $4 for transport to up to $6. So you could conceivably a $12 differential between those two prices. The more work we do to put the North Dakota Bakken crude on a world market and look at getting those Brent prices, the better it is for the state. That also aids in the transportation. You look at infrastructure issues. The infrastructure projects from pipeline perspective that have come out and been recently put in North Dakota, those have been extremely helpful to the state when it comes to the actual basis of which we're selling that crude. So that's helping, and it's helping the state, and it's also providing jobs, and the more money that we can get for our crude in North Dakota, the more that means we're going to be drilling, and that's helping jobs as well. So there is a domino effect that it's a beneficial. It's all beneficial.
Blu Hulsey with Continental Resources. We're talking about the recent news of selling some crude over to China, taking advantage of the export ban as well as the global marketplace that exists on this planet. If you had a few minutes, I wanted to ask you about, I know I saw your name in some programs at the recent events, whether it be the Bakken conference or the petroleum conference. I think it was either at both or one of the ones. Either you were being inducted for something or you spoke, but I saw that basically you were a heavyweight of knowledge when it came to the Bakken. So I wanted to see if maybe you could give an update on oil, natural gas, and maybe a few research and development things that, if you guys have any happening out there in the Bakken.
I will tell you, and you